And interestingly enough, that coincides with a potential government shutdown right around that March 14th spot. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Do we get a government shutdown, which could be the next bear catalyst that pushes us further, or do we get through that and then we get into a little bit of a period of time that could be a bit more seasonally bullish with inflows beginning to come into the market? But with where we are right now, and this is just how markets work, and it's how trends work. Selling leads to more selling in a downtrend. Buying leads to more buying in an uptrend. And then from a market dynamic perspective, systematics are selling, long shorts are selling. We knew that at all-time highs a couple of weeks ago that the long short funds were in the 94th percentile of long ownership. We knew that retail money had never been buying in the way that it had been into that high, and they were pretty max long or maybe even beyond max long. And CTA systematic funds were a bit stretched to the long side as well. So now the selling feeds on itself, where if you look at like this week, CTAs are set in a flat tape for the rest of this week or the course of this week to sell an additional like $38 billion worth of stock. So it's still a little bit early to be a major buyer of this market for anything than an oversold bounce. And as a team, we've done a fantastic job recognizing that even in the confines of a market that's moving lower, you can sometimes stretch that rubber band so far that you get the inevitable, at least short-term snapback of that rubber band. Yesterday at lows was an example of that. It was a day two selling, but it was such a vicious amount of selling into that day two. We almost got down into the 200-day for the SPYs. We actually pierced through the 200-day for the QQQ, and that actually set us up for a great bounce back trade. I was buying the world yesterday and was 100% out of all of my shorts and was buying TQQQ, Google, Meta, was shorting UVixy, putting all these trades on, caught that great snapback rally into the afternoon. And now today we're at a point where we're a little bit in between. I don't want to rush and buy this market too early, but we're still too extended now to short. I think that shorts are still available in this market to us on any real bounces back to like an 8 and 21 EMA. And at the same time, if we can really stretch that rubber band again to the downside, it creates the opportunity for some short-term longs. Bottom line, volatility is a trader's friend. This market is fantastic right now for short-term movements, and it's an opportunity for seasoned traders to make a lot of money. Newer traders, sometimes big amounts of volatility can be a little bit tricky, but it's a great opportunity to be trading both sides of this market, depending on shorting bounces or buying downside extension for those snapbacks.
Okay, Sammy. So Derek brought up the Q. So the Qs had this, horrible day Monday. They came back hard yesterday, and now things seem like they're stuck in the middle. So, Sammy, do you think anything has changed in terms of the bigger trend?
So here's the thing. I rarely miss a bottom or a top. Rarely, seriously. This time I missed it because it just happened so casually. I felt the technical picture wasn't like it could have been continued to be bullish, could have turned a little bit bearish because there was a bit of a breakout failure. But this top that we have so far has been tough for me to not just at the top. I missed it completely at the top. But I mean, it is still, you asked about the market. I'm still unsure whether we're really lower in the longer term or we've seen the worst. So I'm still unsure about it. If I may project here or present, let me just show you something real quick. I'll just do entire screen. Here we go. So if we look at the Qs, so here's the thing. We haven't violated any major pivots. Well, maybe we have. I mean, this pivot is a major pivot. But I know that if you have a strong bearish move that takes out multiple support levels in one fell swoop, that you can consider yourself to be in a downtrend even if you don't have lower highs and lower lows. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing on the daily chart of the Qs, is that we were taking out multiple support levels, and we definitely broke the trend line. So it's becoming a little bit more bearish than I was expecting or imagining. Now let's see how the week closes, because if we look at the weekly chart of the Qs, sure, we have 3 wide range red bars, but if we can end up with a bottoming tail bar this week, we're still, today is Wednesday, we're still halfway through the week. If we actually can snap back a little bit, we might end up with a buy setup. We might end up with like a shakeout that takes out the prior low and then goes right back up if we can take out this bar's high next week. But the way it's shaping up right now, it looks like we do have a clean break, and we're going to be lower in the longer term, medium term maybe. I never ever bet against the market when the weekly looks like this. So take a look at it. I mean, I just never ever even imagine trying to pick the top, because you know why? 99% of the time I'm going to be wrong. So this time around, it worked. I mean, if you were bearish at the top like Derek was, but I just don't even try. Honestly, I don't. The only time I try to pick the top or start looking for a top is when we have an extended move up, maybe accelerated move. Look at these moves, like from here all the way to there, and that wasn't still the top. It was just a pullback from here to there. That was still a pullback. So here, pullback, pullback, pullback. So the vast majority of the time, it ends up being just a pullback. And so if you're trying to pick the top, and it's usually not a good idea. This time around, there might be something to it. We'll find out next week for sure. I think we'll find out next week. So in the meantime, I am still unsure. I'm thinking there's a little bit more bearishness than you would typically get in a normal weekly pullback. But I'm still not convinced that we actually topped out in the longer term. That's my take on the market.
Okay. So JR, I'm looking, I see, the SPYs are 6% off the highs. The Qs are 8% off the highs. We have some very rude people in the comments. Our friend Mike Line is saying, good makeup job, JR. And Sleeping Dolphin says JR was taking a hit of vape, I think.
It was an inhaler because I'm sick.
Listen, JR is sick. He is suffering.
You guys are a bunch of savages in the chat. I just want to say
we're gonna. So these people. So I can tell. Mike Lyon and Sleeping Dolphin. We're gonna issue refunds and ban you. JR is not putting up with this kind of abuse. So JR. So JR, you could just give us a thumbs up or thumbs down on the market. Is this what's going on here?
I think this is great. Ever since I was little, I always wanted to be a character in Thunderdome, and now it's become true. You know what I mean? I had my Thunderdome Halloween outfits when I was 9 and 10. I love Master Blaster. I had the metal helmet with the spikes, and now as a day trader, I get to live that as a reality every day. I think it's great. We are all basically stuck watching a global game of The Apprentice, where China, Mexico, and Canada are the wholly unprepared and unwitting participants of a very messy geopolitical game of The Apprentice. And for investors, it's terrifying. For day traders, it's just Thunderdome glory Monday through Friday. It truly is a day trader's market. And I completely agree with Sammy and Derek's analysis technically, but I don't think it's about the technicals right now. The market has not had a whole lot of technical damage done, especially if you look at the SPX on the weekly and the monthly. As long as we hold, 5,700 SPX, I think it's going to be okay. But ultimately, really the precursor to anything bullish happening in terms of the trend resuming is going to have to be resolved geopolitically through the resumption of tariff talks, and really I don't see the market changing its dynamics until that happens.
Okay, so I want to go through some of these leaders that have been busted up. So I decided I'm gonna basically assign each of you guys one to go through. I'm going to give Derek Tesla for obvious reasons, Sammy Palantir, and JR Nvidia. So Derek, I'm seeing on my screen that Tesla is the second worst stock in the Qs this year, down 44% from the highs. Are you still staying away from Tesla, I guess is the best way to put it?
I'm staying away from it, but it is on my short list of stocks I most want to be short into any bounce backs. I mean, the technicals on this thing has been broken ever since it lost 380. After it did that, it did a parabolic top into 480. I could probably share my screen. Where are we? Entire screen. Boom, boom. There we go. Should be up. So yeah, we had this like parabolic top into 480 that was not based on anything fundamental, except it was just based on Elon's association with the Donald Trump administration. That led to a huge pullback here and the creation of this 380 support. That 380 support broke. We do still have a rising 200-day, but we've been in a downtrend pretty much ever since. This bounce back into 365 was very shortable on kind of a retest of the area that it broke down from and into this equilibrium area between the 8 and 21 EMA. And it's the same thing. The stock is relatively weak. The stock is downtrending. If the market continues to give me signals that I should be looking for shorts, it's my favorite stock to go after. Fundamentally, this company is just absolutely and utterly imploding. I think we saw a new number out this morning that Tesla sales in Germany are off 79%, and that's actually in a market where EV sales overall are increasing. In China, their electric car technology can't compete with Chinese electric car companies and the technology that they're developing, so they're losing market share over there. In the United States, if you are a Republican, you don't buy electric cars. If you're a Democrat, you don't buy Elon Musk's electric cars. I actually think that India could be a good market for them, which we saw some headlines this morning that they're trying to make headways into India. So maybe there's one bright spot there. But I mean, the guy has just ruined the brand, and the stock chart shows it. And it still is very expensive here on a fundamental basis, which is based on some sort of hopes that these future miracle products that he's barely started to work on, like robots, begin to come online, or autonomous taxis. But I don't think he has an advantage in either of those dreams, and that's all they are at this point. So you're looking at an expensive stock that's in a downtrend with heavily deteriorating fundamentals and a deteriorating brand. I like the idea of shorting it on any pops, provided that it's in line with the market. I'm telling my traders all the time right now, though, the market's the most important thing. When you get we're not in a bear market, but we could call it a bearish type market. There's been bearish action recently. Correlations increase when that happens. So I would not be shorting Tesla if I think that the market can work its way higher, which I don't necessarily think that right now. But if I think that the market is creating pivot highs that are shortable, Tesla's a go-to name for me for that.
Okay. Thanks, Derek, for ruining my day as a as a long-term Tesla investor. Yeah, so we definitely have some mixed comments. TRT today saying battery fire stock and Elon and Tesla with Doge to the moon. So true. Musk has destroyed his brand. Just silly talk. Tesla's doing exactly what it's always done. It'll trade above 300 before year end. Let's make that 500. We need to stay more positive out here. Oh, okay, Sammy. So let's go to Palantir, the other one of the other gigantic post-election names. Though I have a feeling Sammy has something to say about Tesla.
I don't understand, Mike. You assigned me Palantir and you gave Tesla to Derek. Come on now.
Listen, I had to give. Listen. Derek took a lot of crap in the
Let
comments.
him gloat. You should have given him Palantir.
I did
to talk about.
Oh yeah,
because he showed up late to class, Sammy.
Listen,
I'm gonna say the truth.
This isn't communism. This isn't fair. Sometimes I have to dole things out as I see fit. So, Sammy, you are stuck with Palantir this week. I apologize.
That's fine. So here's my question to you: How did their CEO time the exit at the exact top? How? I mean, what the? Yeah, that was incredible. So that was when the stock topped out. Now, when you look at a stock that dropped so hard so fast in such a short amount of time, that tells me that it topped out. Is it a good short down here at support? I mean, you can look at the weekly chart. That's probably better. Is it a good short? Nope. Could it be shorted on a bounce back up? Maybe, but that's hard because the move is already in. It dropped the 40, 50 bucks, right? And the move is probably likely in. I think the same on Tesla, by the way. If you are in it short, good job. Down here, I think that's probably more likely to bounce than to be a shortable play. But yeah, Palantir, I mean, that was, and I was watching it, by the way, looking for a top because it was getting extended, and then it just topped out on news after a seemingly bullish breakout right here. So it was really hard. It would have been really hard to catch. I like it when the stocks, when stocks that are really extended actually give you a way in. And I feel like this market and Palantir for sure, I wasn't really like actively watching it, looking to short, but I was aware that it's getting way up there, getting climactic basically. I like it when they give you an entry to get short, and sometimes they don't, as we saw this time around in the market in general, but in a lot of stocks that were overbought, that were extended, they didn't really give us a good entry. So Palantir, the top is in. Is it a good short? I don't think so. I think more likely to bounce back up with the market. But the stock might be done for the short term and for the long term as well.
Okay. Mike, you gotta let me just make a quick add-on Palantir. First of all, 100% agree with Sammy's analysis there. And I even want to point out, I went long Palantir. I flipped long. I went long Palantir on that first test of $80 just a few trading sessions ago for a cute bounce back trade. Was able to make a handful of bucks on it, and that's it. So we don't. As much as it's very fun for me to hate on Tesla right now when the stock looks like shit, we need to be balanced with our thought process. And you can't just be 100% stuck in Tesla is always a short, Palantir is always a short. And I agree with the one commenter who said that Tesla at some point this year will be back above 300. I mean, a bounce back to 300 from where it is right now is absolutely nothing, especially if you can get some market support. So we have to be mentally flexible. You can't just be thinking you can short every stock to zero or buy every stock to 10 billion. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Okay, JR, you and I have had many conversations about Nvidia over the past year. So the last quarter, I thought it was just crap compared to what we've been used to with the big earnings beats. Is it over?
What do you mean, is it over?
Is it over?
Is Jensen Huang retiring to Tibet to find himself?
All right, I own
Kundalini yoga.
I have an absolutely gigantic position in Nvidia, a whopping 20 shares, and I need to know.
I'm bullish on the name. I mean, it's trading at 39 times earnings, 4 Ps, 20. I mean, people are talking about shorting this into the 90 handle. Like, how much cheaper do you expect this name to be? Technically, okay, you've got really weak technicals. The bear case is the following. You got, if you look at it, follow oscillators, you got a very, very weak oscillation here on this uptrend into a distributive upthrust on January 8th. Okay, and then you had an elevation in volume on this retest to the top of the value area, which is your biggest, most highly traded area. Fair value for the sellers was around 126. You had a weak bounce here. Just basically squeezing the bears into the 140 handle and a rollover. So you have a steady set of lower highs and lower lows on elevated volume and weak technicals. So, if you're looking at this thing volumetrically, you're thinking to yourself, okay, the big volume gap at 1050 here, and if that liquidity doesn't hold, you're looking at 105. And then, if you crack 103, you're looking for a straight shot to 89 and a quarter. And so, the technical bear case is feasible, but you look at these fundamentals. I'm not sure they were going to let it get that low. Longer term, I'm extremely bullish on Nvidia. I still have a technical target at the 175 handle, but short term, clearly here this chart's telling you, okay, elevated volume, you're unable to sustain a bid at 113.25, which was the key level, and the technicals look weak. You have lower lows, lower highs, and this looks like a textbook Wyckoff distribution top with an up thrust. So yeah, technically this could go lower, but you got to look at these fundamentals and wonder, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't short this with your account, Michael Kumo, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? So,
right, as if my day couldn't get any worse.
You got it.
I'm looking here. I want some good news out of you people. Okay, all right. So let's switch gears for a second. So I was gonna bring up gold, but I've noticed at least year to date, there's a lot of big action in commodities. Natural gas, silver, gold are doing really, really well. So JR, I'll actually come back to you here. So we talked about last year, you had a $3,000 target on gold. Now all the chaos we're seeing with all the geopolitical news, the tariff stuff. I mean, I hate going down the road with these gold people, the way they start up, but is gold actually acting like a safe haven? Like what's actually driving demand?
I don't know. I guess we have to audit. What do they have to audit?
Fort Knox. And by the way, remember that on this show, more buyers than sellers is also a valid answer. So just keep that in mind.
Living through a Rick and Morty episode is all I'm going to say. Gold had a technical breakout. We called it out a year ago. It was a massive multi-year cup and handle base break. Were you sharing my charts on the Nvidia thing? Because that was probably pretty confusing if you weren't.
We're not.
Okay, all right. Well,
you can pull up charts if you want.
So I mean, yeah, gold at this point is looking like it's probably gonna surpass my 3,000 target and keep going. There are apparently a lot of geopolitical factors pushing gold higher. Ultimately, being a technical trader, I follow the chart more than I follow the fundamentals. And to me, this looks like you have a whole another extended leg to 3,200.25 next. So gold continues to look really bullish to me.
Okay. I guess I'll move on to Sammy. So Sammy, I know you don't really even care what it is. I know it's like you care about the chart, which is why you're always in these weird stocks and these strange REITs and things. Are you playing any of these commodity names, or are you just sitting by?
I'm not. I don't, like you said, I don't care if it's gold or real estate or whatever it is. If it's good, I'll play it. Am I playing any gold stocks right now? I don't think so. Yeah, speaking of real estate, I like the Saber long, the SABR. That's real estate. If it can take out 420, but it's not real estate actually. I thought it was real estate, but whatever. So I don't think I have any gold stocks. Do I have any gold stocks? I don't think I have any gold or silver stocks. But yeah, gold and silver, really impressive. Just really, really bullish.
Okay, Derek, we'll come on to you. Are you playing in any of these commodities areas?
Mike, your MSOS is popping.
Really?
Yeah, Trump White House invites proposal on federal marijuana legislation, popping from like 0 to above 0, but it's popping. Commodities, I don't really trade commodities, to be honest with you. It's not really a focus of mine. I'm really a stock guy. My understanding on gold is there's some interesting stuff going on right now that I have not fully researched. Aren't there like airplanes full of gold being flown into the United States right now? I don't really know all the whys behind that. I think it has something to do with probably some arbitrage between, I don't know, the physical versus the the pieces of paper, something like that. But the chart's bullish, and the way that something like gold works is it's just one of those things that feeds on itself. So maybe the buying starts with some of these different countries that are out there right now who want to have more gold reserves because of geopolitical uncertainty. But then what that does is once the stock starts to break out, or in this case, I'm looking at the GLD ETF. Once it starts to break out, then you bring in all the technical momentum buyers that start getting involved, and it just feeds on itself. So overall, I think that the chart looks pretty bullish. I have no position, don't plan on having a position. It's probably a little bit of an interesting story just for the academics out there.
Yeah. The gold people tend to be unreliable narrators. They tell lots of interesting stories. And thanks for pointing out MSOS. It's only down 22% year to date now. So talk about your rug pull areas. Okay. All right. Let's move on to ideas. So Sammy, we'll start with you because you said you like the Sabre. Is there anything else you like right here?
So I like the China stocks a lot. I actually was on Benzinga just yesterday, and I said China. And we're in a few of them, but the problem is they're already gapped up today. They're already up a lot, so it's kind of late if you're not in the China stocks. But that's what I like. I got out of BUB at 138 and some change when it double top. It's back above, so So that's a problem. Look at the BABA monthly chart. Looks amazing, doesn't it? So yeah, a lot of the VNet we got out of also last week or the week before when it got to the target, actually $1 above the target, which was 15. So a lot of the China stocks are late, but they still look higher. YMM, I called it as an earnings play yesterday. In addition to the original play that we have, looks amazing, but again, gapped up. BZ is another open trade. Looks really good. Broke out today. You're a little late. BEKE is another open position. That's the thing, is that I don't want to say, oh, China's the place to be. It is, but it's late. So we've been talking about them the last few weeks, and that's what I like the most. Now, the Sabre looks good to me if it can take out 420. So that looks good. It looks good across the board. Let's take a look at the HRTX today. It's having a down day, but that looks good. I'm in it already. That looks good on the monthly, but today not so good. Anything else? So other than China, some U.S. names. AHR is a real estate stock that has a beautiful weekly breakout, so that looks good. A Sabre, as I said, but yeah, there's not a ton of names right now that look all that great. If we can get another drop in the market, like the rest of the week, maybe early next week, then I think a lot of the stocks that are down a lot could end up with a nice bounce back. So you can look for a bounce back in some of the extended names, such as Tesla and other names that are extended to the downside. But in terms of really where to be right now, I think China is the best sector, the best place to be by far.
Oh, okay. JR, how about you? Is there anything you're loving in this market?
Not really. I've taken my swing exposure down to almost zero in terms of new trades. Took some KRMN long. It's a IPO-based breakout through the highs, through like $33. It's an IPO-based breakout. We'll see if it works. Took Roku long today off the trend line. So little outside bar reversal through the trend line bounce. I'm hoping it pinches to the 21 and gives us a nice 50% retracement off these overextended post-earnings highs. So, there's some things going on. I bought some Tesla earlier this week for bounce off the 200. I think we get one. But really, other than China, there's not a lot I love. I don't really trade the drug names, Johnson & Johnson's and Lilly's. Those have been moving, but they're not my speed. So I've been just mostly day trading in this environment, doing really well doing that.
Okay. All right. JR, you're done for the day, JR. Your voice is just not in good shape. So you go lay down. Okay, Derek, how about you? Anything you like here?
Sure. So first of all, Sammy and I have been on repeat talking about these Chinese names since Alibaba was in the mid 80s. And it has just worked and worked and worked and worked. I told my team this morning that I was upset with myself for not getting a rebuy yesterday in some of the Chinese stocks. It was a great opportunity to be able to scoop a next a next pivot low within the confines of the uptrend on this thing, and I missed it. I was buying so many things yesterday at lows that I just missed it. I like to say when it comes to trading opportunities, traders get upset when they miss things. I say all the time, they're not Pokemon. You can't catch them all. You will inherently miss opportunities if you try to go after every single opportunity that's out there. You'll probably end up falling on your face. I still really like international, broadly speaking, over US opportunities right now. That's where the strength is. You look at any of the Chinese stocks, they're on fire. You have to wait for a good setup to get in. You look at Europe, look at this FEZ ETF, making highs going back to the financial crisis, pre-financial crisis right now on FEZ, the Euro Stock 50 ETF. That's where the relative strength is. And I think that international markets are going to continue to outperform US markets for now. With that said, I would, circling back to shorter term trading opportunities, I would just echo what I said in the beginning, which is one, in down moves like we've seen recently, correlations increase. Whatever you're looking at trading, whatever you're looking at buying right now, you have to start at the index. Is the index telling you that it's okay right now to buy Google, Tesla, Meta, whatever it is that you're looking at, or should you be shorting it? Start at the index level before you break it down to individual stocks. One individual stock that I do like a lot right now, if I could get a little bit of help from the market, is VKTX. It has been in a very nasty, solid downtrend. This is the exact type of downtrend that Sammy always says, well, I think, and I don't want to overly speak for him, don't buy these like 45-degree angle downtrends. Don't short these 45-degree angle uptrends. But I have it on watch for a potential break of it. So I do have a position on now, which is an anticipation position. It's one that I could easily lose money in if this thing continues to work its way down. Initially, if it can get back above the high from this last like bear flag breakdown, which is $29.10, that through like $30, I think that could be the beginning of a process of a break higher. I would tell people, even though I have a position in it right now, I'm jumping the gun. I want to be totally upfront and honest on that. I am jumping the gun on that trade. What I would tell other traders to do is wait for confirmation that this trend is breaking. But there's a lot of stuff I like underneath the surface with this VKTX right now. And I am normally not a biotech guy, but you see that this big pop came out a few days ago on buyout rumors. They do have a history of selling their drugs when they're in stage 2 trials to other companies in the past. Not that I really care too much what sell-side analysts have to think, but it's a stock that I think the average sell-side rating on it is still over $100. This was a huge hype name. I remember trading this move on the 6750 breakout back in October, and it gave this pop up before it ended up being a failed breakout, but it was enough for me to make some money and get out of the way. And since then, this thing has just been getting annihilated from $80 down to $25 yesterday with no real change in any of the underlying fundamentals. Obviously, there's been a big change in the stock market itself recently. So I like this VKTX a lot as a potential opportunity, but let it prove itself to you. I was hoping that this move that started to happen 2 days ago was actually going to be like a downside acceleration move that actually sometimes then leads to a break of the downtrend to the upside. I'm not sure that move was big enough or on enough volume to really categorize itself as that. But I think if this thing can get above 30, you have short squeeze potential, 20% plus short float, buyout potential. They've got a ton of cash. There's even chatter of potential buyback coming into the stock at a certain point. So it's one that I have a position in, that I'm jumping the gun on. Full disclosure on that. But if it can start to confirm itself, it's one that I potentially would look to to then really add some size on. You're muted, Mikey.
I wasn't muted. I was just talking. I wanted to test everybody, see if they were paying attention. But guys, I'm hosting a webinar with Sammy after the close today. There's a link down in the description. And also, it's Sammy's birthday. Sammy thought I forgot, but no, it is Sammy's birthday. He is 21 years old, which is unbelievable. Look how great he looks.
It is my birthday. You're right. And I'm doing a webinar on my birthday with you. So you better behave yourself.
Yes. Sammy, just like me, Sammy likes to suffer. So he's going to work on his birthday. You could have said no, Sammy, but Sammy's a trooper.
Well, yeah, I thought, between going out and celebrating my birthday or being with you, I thought being with you was the way to go, Mike.
I think you made a good choice. It's going to be a crazy webinar. It's going to be out of control. So guys, the link is down in the description below. You better show up or else Sammy's going to be very, very insulted.
For sure, I will be.
Better see everybody there. The link is down below. Click it, put in your information, and we will remind you later on. Everybody have a wonderful day. And yes, John, markets in turmoil does mean the bottom is in. I agree. All right, everybody have a wonderful